Hi everyone, this is me and Lucy today that are going to teach you chapter 4.1, Graphing Linear Equations in Slope-Intercept Form. Chapter 4 is one of my favorite chapters, so let's get started right away. Objective, you found rate of change and slopes in lesson 3.3. And today's objective is to write and graph linear equations in slope-intercept form. Make sure you get the objective down in your notes. Vocab, the only vocabulary word or term that you need to know is slope-intercept form, and that is y equals mx plus b. Key concept, y equals mx plus b. M represents slope. We've learned about that before. But what's new this time is the b value, which is our y-intercept. Set Lucy down. So let's go ahead and get started with some examples. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line with a slope of 1/4 and a y-intercept of -1, and then graph the equation. So our equation is y equals mx plus b. We are going to substitute m with 1/4 and our b with -1. So our equation is y equals 1/4 x minus 1. Now to graph it, we need to first start with our y-intercept, which is -1. So on the y-axis, I'm going to plot -1. That's where my graph starts. So you always start with your y-intercept. Step number 2 is to graph the slope. Notice how the slope is rise over run. This is my rise. This is my run. So I'm going to go up 1 and I'm going to go over 4 and make a dot. And I could also go down 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4 and make another dot. Draw the line through the points and notice how easy it is to now graph using the slope-intercept form. All right, so write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line whose slope is 4 and whose y-intercept is 3. And then the next example, write an equation in slope-intercept form whose slope is -3/4 and whose y-intercept is -8. Take a moment if you want to pause the video and check to see if you can write these two equations in slope-intercept form. We'll come together to see if you get the same answer as I do. All right, so I know my equation is y equals mx plus b. So 4 is my slope. I know that 4 represents my m, and my y-intercept is a +3. 3 represents my b. So that's all we need to do is say that the equation is y equals 4x plus 3. And the second one, y equals mx plus b. I'm always going to write the equation out first. And then my second part, my slope now is a -3/4 x. And my y-intercept is -8. You could say plus a -8, but remember we are shying away from using the double signs. So your equation should read y equals -3/4 x minus 8. All right, if we need to graph 5x plus 4y equals 8, the easiest way to graph is to always put them into slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is our fastest way to actually graph a line. So right now my equation is 5x plus 4y equals 8. Well, I want to get it into y equals mx plus b. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5x plus 4y equals 8, and I'm going to subtract the 5x from both sides. I need to move that x over. Right now I have 4y equals -5x plus 8. Well, we have our our y equals mx plus b, but it's 4y. So my last step is going to be to divide everything by 4. And so my final equation, I'm going to put it up here, is y equals Remember, this is the reason why we always keep slope in fraction form. We don't need to simplify it. It's not 1 and 1/4, negative 1 and 1/4. We don't leave it as a decimal. We leave it as a fraction, either improper or just as a regular fraction. And then 8 divided by 4 happens to be positive 2. So again, when you're graphing, you're always going to start with your y-intercept. My y-intercept is positive 2. Where does it go through the y-axis? At positive 2. Now my slope is down 4 and over, down 5 and over 4, my rise over run. But because it's negative, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and over 1, 2, 3, 4 and make my second dot. Now usually, just like we've been doing, I would have you graph all 3 points, but in this case, my graph doesn't extend that high, so I'm just going to leave it, whoops, just like that. And with a nice ruler, if your line goes through both points, that is your final step. So what I want you to do is pause the video. Let's do one more together, and then we are already to your multiple choice. So make sure you figure out how to solve by graphing linear equations. Now, if you pause the video and have an answer, that's great. The first thing I'm going to do is move this x over. So my equation reads 4y equals a positive 8x when I move it to this side of the equal sign, 8x minus 24. Now my last step, I need to solve for just y, not 4y. So I'm going to divide each one of them by 4. And my equation is y equals 2x, negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. So here is my y equals mx plus b. And m, my slope is 2, and my y-intercept is negative 6. So I'm always going to start with my y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I make one big dot. My slope is up 2 over 1, my rise over run. So I'm going to go up 2 over 1. And because it's a linear equation, your slope continues forever. So I could go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. It's very hard to draw a straight line with this tablet, but your graph or your pencil should go right through each one of your points on your graph. So now we are to the multiple choice question. What I want you to do, step number 1, is take a look at this equation and transform it into, or translate it into y equals mx plus b. Start by graphing your y-intercept, and then from there, find your slope. Now, which one of these represents the correct linear line or linear equation for 3x plus 2y equals 6? Record your answer in the Google form. All right, now we've been doing these through chapter 2 and chapter 3, but it's always important to understand what happens if I just have an x or just have a y. In this case, y equals negative 7. We know that y equals negative 7 is a 0 slope. So my slope is 0, and it's a straight horizontal line. Now my next equation, x equals 3, is a vertical line. So I'm going to put my point right at 3, whoops, and draw a straight line through x equals 3, and this is no slope. All right. Which of the following is an equation in slope-intercept form for the line shown in the graph? Now, this isn't your multiple choice question, but if this question arose on your test, what I want to do is point out some big red flags. First thing, what we do is if we have to identify which equation based on a graph, first thing I'm going to do is figure out what that y-intercept is. In this case, it's negative 3. So right away, I know that this is a positive 3 and this is a positive 3, so I know my answer is not A and it's not C. Now from here, the next thing I'm going to do is figure out what my slope is. You can figure out your slope from any 2 points. I'm going to start from the bottom one and notice that I go up 2 over 1, Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So I know my slope is 2 or 2 over 1, and I know that my y-intercept is -3. So which one of these? It's not -2, it's a positive slope, so I know my answer would be B. So this is the Google-ended question. I'm not giving you multiple choice. What I want you to do for the open-ended question is tell me what the equation is in slope-intercept form for the line shown. So just like I did in the previous example, start with your y-intercept, figure out what your y-intercept is, and then figure out what your slope is, and make sure that it's written in y = mx + b form. All right, we will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.